Hi everyone, it's Rachel of Rachel and Serenity Speak. Myself and Serenity are both victims of lifelong trafficking, currently being trafficked in the UK by the UK government and all of its factions. Today, I'm going to give you an update on both of us, as well as an introduction to some videos that you'll be seeing shortly on our channel. I'm just going to confirm the date and time with you. It is Friday, June 17th, 2022. So Serenity has had trouble coming on a video call to give you all an update herself. And that really exemplifies the struggle that she's going through. As she briefly touched on in the last video, she's fending off corrupt social services and government housing, doing this with, dealing with homelessness and destitution with a young child, and doing this largely all on her own and spinning her wheels when she tries to get help, taken in circles and people just blatantly ignoring her, rejecting her, or twisting things around to avoid helping her. This is the reality of the so-called support structures in place, including for victims of trafficking, which, as we talked about in the last video, the National Referral Mechanism, the NRM, really exemplifies. It's entirely corrupt. So Serenity is dealing with all of this on her own. So it's been impossible for her to come on a call. And I think that's something which is noteworthy. Everyday things, which many people may take for granted, are an uphill battle for us, or just flat out impossible. It's literally impossible for her to join a video call. So I'm going to give you an update on her behalf. She has been approved for a flat from a private landlord so that she can get out of the thumb of the government. She does have to raise about £1,200 in order to access her belongings, which are stored in Scotland. So to have them transported to England, it's about £1,200. So she's doing the last steps to actually move into the property, but then once she's there, it's empty. She needs, her bed, sofa, and everything. So that's the next step once she gets into the flat. That's at least one basic step. But at the same time, she's, as I said, fending off all of this corrupt abuse. Serenity's reported to me that social services have not relented in their abuse, with the control and manipulation of her and her child. Their involvement with her and her child in the first place was achieved through fraud. And then they had used the government housing system to take control of her life. So that's why it was so important for her to get out from under government housing and privately rent. However, once she has conquered social services, once they have backed off, she's actually hoping to go back into her business of safeguarding and helping other survivors, so that she can raise money to live a more sustainable life, like buying her own plot of land and building a tiny home, so that she's really autonomous and sovereign. In the past week, social services who are involved with Serenity actually started to try to come for me, to involve me. I'm going to show you the what Serenity said, and we're going to get the evidence to you soon, but it's really shocking how much they're incriminating themselves. So they do these weekly, I think it's weekly reports, because they've taken control over Serenity's life. And so these reports on her quote unquote care, or her situation that they've involved themselves in, is always doctored. Things are twisted and manipulated. I'm going to link in the description box below Serenity's video where the police actually came on behalf of social services based on fraud. They came to where her and I were both residing at the time, and this happened on Friday the 13th in May 2022. So that's a good taste of how social services is working with this corrupt network And you'll hear me in that video say, they're going to try to drag me into this. And I've had my fair share of police abuse and trafficking. And they did try at that point. And they didn't really get a foot in yet. But now they've circled back to that in their report. So this is an exchange between Serenity and I on June 14th of this week. And she says that social services mentioned in the report that when the police came on May 13th, I did not provide a name. However, they know who I am. They found me on social media, and they made comments about my social media activity. So they're talking about my personal social media, not this brand new joint account. So you'll see in that video that I gave a first name only because Serenity's child was calling out my name. Well, they were demanding my name and trying to emotionally blackmail me into it. Like, I was putting Serenity at risk by not providing them a name, even though I wasn't legally obligated to do so. But her child in the background is calling out my name, so I just gave my first name. So in the report, they admit that they did not receive a full name from me. Yet, how is it that they know about my personal social media and they're commenting specifically on what I'm doing, helping other survivors and fundraising? It's an intimidation tactic, and very stupid to incriminate themselves like that, because how would they get that information? From the information Serenity gave me, it doesn't sound like they're referring to our Give, Send, Go fundraiser, but the private fundraising I've been doing through other means. It's funds that are shared between Serenity and I, but another platform I've been using on my own social media. So whenever Serenity gets a break, she's going to be able to send us the screenshots of that and show you the evidence. So stupid. I mean, this shows you that it's a corrupt network which traffics myself and Serenity. And they really don't like that we've come together. Because also, you know, a few weeks ago, we had financial attacks. Literally the day after we spoke out in one particular way, literally the day after she received a financial attack, I received a specific financial attack. Let me show you what that was for me, actually. This email from PayPal. So as you can see from down in the bottom right-hand corner, this is on 5/19. They said, we have recently reviewed your usage of PayPal services as reflected in our records and in your website. And then they cite my channel, which is dedicated to whistleblowing. Due to the nature of your activities, we have chosen to discontinue service to you. We have placed a permanent limitation on your accounts. You must remove all references to PayPal from your website. This even includes removing the PayPal logo. And then they say, if you have a remaining balance, you may withdraw the money to your account. However, what they had done before this was actually put a limitation on my account, so I could not access my money. And it was a limitation based on fraud, for fraudulent reasons, which were completely nonsensical and non-applicable to me. And they were demanding proof of identification to restore access to my accounts, even though the limitation was based on nonsense. And they did that because one of my traffickers had reported to them that I am undocumented. Mind you, remember, this is through no fault of my own. This is because the UK Home Office broke contact with me in 2018 after I claimed asylum or applied for asylum, and made repeated reports of abuse in their asylum accommodation and also safe houses under the NRM, the National Referral Mechanism. They refuse all contact with me because of that, since that. thereby completely abandoning all of their legal duties to me as an asylum seeker, including providing ID and documentation. So, yeah, one of my traffickers reported that to PayPal. They made a public comment on my social media that they did report me to PayPal. PayPal wouldn't admit it at the time. They just made up these reasons to put a limitation on my account. And it was like $530 that they have withheld from me in my accounts. And so even now that they are banning me, they still won't relinquish my funds to me. So they're going to just steal that $500 for themselves. And just remember how ironic this all is. They're literally citing my whistleblowing content where I talk about being trafficked. So they are knowingly doing this to a trafficking victim. I don't just talk about being trafficked, I show the evidence of it, some of which I'm going to be uploading to this channel here. As I said, Serenity had a financial attack on that same day that PayPal banned me. And then in the past week, I think it was just yesterday actually, Serenity reported another financial attack. So these are the kinds of things that we have to deal with on a daily basis. And this is just one of many challenges. So your support makes all the difference for us. It is literally life-saving and is the thing that will enable us to expose this corrupt system, because that is the end goal. That is the main goal. It's not just to survive another day of torture, but to slay the beast. Ways that you can support us is by sharing this content far and wide. Share it to your social media, share it to various communities, share it to journalists and UK lawyers directly. In particular, we need human rights lawyers. And I myself need one that also specializes in asylum law. Both our lawyers should also be able to take action against authorities and police. So if you know of any such solicitors, share our content with them or help us find a solicitor, because most don't respond to us, or they want exorbitant fees for a consultation. And as I said, sharing this to journalists as well, especially the evidence videos that are going to be coming to our channel shortly. We do rely on community funding to survive. There's a lot of just insane obstacles that we have to move through, and our income is quite low. And we also have additional expenses that we have to take on to navigate these attacks and the obstruction that's been placed on us. So any amount that you can donate to the fundraiser linked in the description box below is so helpful. That's going to be shared between her and I. And also share the fundraiser far and wide. Share it when you share our content to journalists and solicitors as well. Share it anytime, any place you share our content, wherever it may be. Give people the opportunity to support in multiple ways. Remember, we are here to build a collective movement to expose the corruption and pursue justice and create healing for survivors everywhere. So any way that you can support us is so helpful, and we very much appreciate it. On that note, there is some positive news. I did mention that I was fundraising through my personal platform, and we did receive, I think, about £1,000 to split between us, and it made all the difference in a very, very, very desperate time. But we do need your continued support. So thank you so much for that. Videos coming up, as I said, it's going to be evidence videos of just blatant corruption, abuse, in particular with police, court bailiffs, and other civilians who are linked in with this organized network of abuse. And so Serenity will rejoin us on the channel when she is settled into her home and starting to have support for childcare. We don't know how long that will be. Your support fast tracks that. look out for those evidence videos. Do be sure to subscribe. You also have to click the notification button after you subscribe to get notified of new videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.